Today in the news, we go through the Navi 14 specs, AMD's fake cores lawsuit, and the upcoming Threadripper. What's up guys, I'm Snows, and this is your boot sequence. Let's get started with AMD. So far, we've heard some rumors about the upcoming Navi products, both on the higher and the lower end of our current RX 5700 series. On the high end, we expect something in the likes of a Navi 20 GPU that could compete with a 2080 or better, but we don't have anything concrete on any leaks right now. On the lower end though, Navi 14 has been making the rounds. I mean, we've heard through Pharonics that AMD has been preparing patches on Linux for the cards, and we also saw a very small section of a Compubench benchmark that gave us a bit more info. Well, now, thanks to Kamachi on Twitter and a little bit of digging myself, Navi 14 or GFX 1012 makes another appearance, this time with a little more to go on. As usual, with anything like this, take it with a grain of salt, will ya? So this new Navi 14 chip has specs that look a little bit like this. Compared to Navi 10's RX 5700 XT, it will sport 24 compute units instead of 40. That would make its RDNA core count reach 1536. In the clock speed section, it looks like this chip will feature something under 1900 MHz. It shows 1900 on the Compubench page, but I don't think this will be the actual clock speed, since on the same section of the 5700 XT page, we can see 2100 MHz as the max clock. And that's actually AMD's limit in the Vbios, so I assume that this is the Vbios limit for Navi 14, and it will probably run about 100 MHz or more under that. For the memory, this chip is an interesting one. It looks like Navi 14 will sport 3 different variants, one with 8GB of GDDR6, and I'm assuming it's GDDR6 since Navi has been built with it in mind, another variant with 4GB of VRAM, and the last one with only 3GB. That's really low for GPUs these days. I assume this could be something for like a RX 5400 maybe. Now the specs I gave here don't actually give us the information for a single card, but rather for the Navi 14 GPU itself. Just like Navi 10 has a full-fledged RX 5700 XT and a cut-down version with the RX 5700, Navi 14 will have a full-fledged card at 24 compute units with cut-down versions that would have less of them. In total, there were 3 cards with Navi 14 chips logged into Compubench, all with different amounts of VRAM. I'm going to make a prediction here and say that AMD will have a 5600 XT with 24 compute units and a 5600 with 20 compute units, both with 8GB of VRAM, then a 5500 with 14 CUs and a 5400 with 12 CUs. That prediction is made with the leaks and rumors currently available. I'm honestly just giving them a name. Moving on, but sticking to AMD, we finally have a conclusion to the Bulldozer lawsuit. To put you up to speed, in AMD's FX lineup of CPUs, some were marketed as 8 cores. They had 4 big cores that were each split into 2, and they shared some resources making 8, but the individual split units were incapable of operating independently, meaning it wasn't a true 8-core processor. AMD still believed that it was a true core, and a class action lawsuit ensued. Now this has been going on since 2015, and AMD settled for $12.5 million yesterday. This would equate to around $35 refund for people who have purchased the product. Right now, there isn't a system to redeem the money, and like any settlements at this level, it will probably take a while before it's put into action. That $35 amount is also under assumption that only a fifth of the customers will come forward to claim their settlement, which means that if there's more claimants, the amount will probably be even less. And the last bit of AMD news is with Threadripper 3000. So far, we've seen some user benchmark reports with the new chips at 16 and 32 cores, but we didn't have any specific information in terms of its boost clock speed. All we knew was that it had a base of 3.6 GHz and an average of 4.05. 3.6 GHz base is already way better than the 2990WX, the old 32-core CPU. Well, thanks to a Geekbench benchmark, it looks like the 32-core Ryzen 3000 series will run at 4.3 GHz boost. Now, this isn't much more than the Threadripper 2, which clocked in at 4.2 GHz on the 32 cores. But the huge IPC gains of Zen 2 is sure to make it a lot more powerful than its predecessor. We unfortunately still don't know if AMD will push Threadripper 3 higher than 32 cores. But if its codename is anything to go by, and I know it's a stretch, but the codename is Shark's Tooth, we might get a 48 core variant since white sharks have a front row of around 48 teeth. I know it's dumb, but anyways. In gaming, it looks like Stadia might be poaching yet another huge player in streaming. Right now, their exclusive lineup will contain some really big titles like Cyberpunk 2077, Borderlands 3, and Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And some huge game studios are also in with Stadia, but still have unannounced games like Capcom, EA, and Rockstar Games. Now, exclusivity for Stadia is different from game store exclusivity that we see from Steam, Discord, or the Epic Store. It seems like it's only exclusive in terms of streaming service like GeForce Now. Basically, as long as the game resides and is played through a server, then it can be exclusive to Stadia. Now you might be asking, why am I talking about this? Well, GeForce Now just had its Grand Theft Auto franchise pulled from its services. Episodes from Liberty City, GTA 4, and GTA 5 have been removed, and since GeForce Now is slated to be launched around the same time as Stadia, maybe the games removed from the Nvidia service will be found on Google's. Anyways, guys, that is pretty much it for the news today. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you got any questions, don't hesitate to put them down below. I'm actually working on a Q&A video right now. As usual, you can click right here to see the latest video, right here to subscribe. Stay frosty, my dudes, and I'll see you on the next one. Man, I'm cold, but I'm hot. But I'm cold because I'm still sick. How am I still sick? Come on! I'm like an old person. It's too hot? Well, turn up the AC. It's too cold suddenly. Let's turn it down.